Good evening, everyone. I am Danny Nicole, and I'm your host of Book Talk, Author Visibility Podcast. And on tonight's episode, we will be speaking with author Deborah Jefferson. Deborah, go ahead and let us know who you are.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me on your show, Miss Danny. And like she said, I am Deborah Jefferson. I am an author. I am a mother. I'm a grandmother. I'm a businesswoman. All the things. And writing has been a catalyst for many things for me.
Okay. And the book we are going to talk about today, give us the name of the book and give us a description.
Sure, it is Still I Bloom. It's poems of healing, becoming, and quiet strength. And this book is me coming, I would say becoming really, just rebuilding myself, coming out of, bad situations and just on the other side. And I just wrote about how, all the different ways that I came out on the other side through poetry, just to, uplift others as they go on their journeys. So it's a little bit
Okay.
of just healing journey in the poetry.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, what inspired you to use bloom as a metaphor for your journey of healing, becoming, and quiet strength? So, what inspired
hmm
you to use that word?
Okay. Well, what inspired me to actually use the word bloom is the book that I wrote right before, well, a couple years before this one, which was a memoir, and it was not poetry, but it's called A Rose Wrapped in Thorns. So I went through a toxic relationship. So Still I Bloom was me blooming instead of those, that rose was wrapped up in thorns. So now I'm blooming, I've come a long way, I've bloomed into, being who God will have me to be.
Okay, great. Thank you for
hmm
sharing that.
Sure.
So, were there any fears you might have faced when you decided to share this writing publicly?
I won't say really fears. I mean, you always have a little bit of jitters, when you're writing a new book, and you're getting it out there. Well, I can say the biggest fear is just hoping that it resonates with other people, and I won't say just women because men read my poetry as well. So just that fear of, are they gonna like it, or are they gonna really feel what I felt when I was writing it, and those kind of things. Yes.
Okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so the poems explore healing and resilience. So
Mm-hmm.
was there a particular moment when you realized you were no longer just surviving, you were beginning to bloom?
Well, I guess a particular moment for this was when I realized I had written enough to put in a book again, So that's when you realize, okay, yeah, I've written quite a bit now. And then when you read back over it and read back through the poems and you're like, okay, yeah, I see I started from here and then I went from there. And, I truly did bloom and grow and blossom and heal on this journey. So it's like, I'm gonna say maybe halfway through the book, or yeah, a little bit more than halfway, I realized, okay, yes, this is definitely a book. This is definitely showing where I have grown in my life in many areas, how I've healed. So I was like, okay, yeah, it's time. It's time.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay. And so you described quiet strength rather than loud victories. So
Mhm.
what does that mean to you when you said quiet strength?
Okay, to me, quiet strength is I was a couple of other author friends have once called one young lady, and author Latoya Jeter. She deemed me the quiet storm one time we were in Clubhouse, and it really stuck with me because I don't do a lot of fuss and all that stuff. That's not me. I'm not big and boastful. Even in, not liking someone or going through things, I'm still not the one who's, out there cutthroat, loud and braggadocious and all the things. That's not me. But there is quietness in my strength. I mean, excuse me, there's strength in my quietness rather. And so that's where that came from.
Okay, okay, great.
hmm
And so how has faith shaped the way you view pain, healing, and this new beginning?
Faith has always been a big part of my journey, my life, even before long before I started writing. But even with my writing, and like I said, I write about my life. So with my faith is what kept me through it all. My faith in God, He gave me strength. One of my favorite scriptures is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, all things. So that keeps me going. It really does. He has kept me. What's that song? He kept me. He has kept me, and he's still keeping me.
Yes,
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 yes.
I like that scripture too. That's one of my favorites. I like to quote that
Mm,
because it's so true and it resonates very well.
yes.
Circumstances where I can do all things as long as I
Right.
have Christ. Nothing's impossible. So thank you for sharing.
Amen. hmm
So, what message or impact do you hope this story gives to the readers?
What message or impact? I would say I want the message to come across to let them know that, there is something blooming on the other side, that they can, even if it's quiet, they're still growing, they're still healing, and that, that strength, they might think that they don't have any strength, but they're getting the strength from God, and He's going to push them through. And so I just hope that they get something positive out of my book that, shows them that, they can still continue to grow and heal.
Absolutely. So,
Hmm.
how has the writing, or if it has it changed you on a personal or emotional level? You had mentioned you wrote another book.
Hmm.
So, but were they are they similar? I think you said this second one we're talking about is poetry. Was the first one
Hmm.
poetry?
Well, I actually have four now. But the first two were poetry that was coming out of a divorce. So all the
Okay.
feelings and emotions. And then the second book is also a poetry, but I took like 2 or 3 years to write that one. And that was just me learning how to, navigate life and dating in my 40s. I was married for 23 years, so I wrote about my experiences, just learning about life and people in general. And then that's when the memoir came, Rose Wrapped in Thorns. So that was a little different for me because I was, used to writing poetry. And but the Lord said, no, you can't hide behind your poetry. You gotta write this one out. I was like, okay. And I wrote it out. But yes, and then of course I came back to my first love, my poetry. So yeah.
Okay, great. And so, what would you say to a writer who is putting their story out for the first time, and they might be a little unsure about themselves sharing their story? What advice would you give them about their journey, their writing?
Okay. Well, first off, I would just tell them to, trust the process. You went through what you went through, but I won't say you, in a sense, you went through it for a reason, but it gave whatever you went through, because we all go through different things, but whatever you went through, you came out on the other side. You bloomed, for instance. You healed. You made it through. God brought you to the other side. So, write about that. It's your truth. Another author friend of mine, Angel Charmaine, she said, if you don't want to be the villain in my story, then don't be the villain in my life. So, because typically a memoir, somebody did something to somebody or harmed you in some kind of way. So, you know your truth. Write your story. Don't worry about naysayers. Don't worry about people saying, "Oh, well, ooh, how did you go through that? Why did you?" Don't worry about any of that. Trust God. What it is that He wants you to write. Pray about it and write your story. Share your story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. It's
Yes.
important that you share your story because many people need to hear it. You don't
Yeah.
know if that one story might affect just one person,
Right.
their lives. And
Hmm.
it could be one, it could be 10, it could be 2,000, but
Right.
there's a story out there for everyone. Absolutely.
Hmm.
So what's next on this journey? I know. So this
Hmm.
book, did you just publish the poetry?
I actually published this one right before the Our Words Matter Author Expo last year, which we have every November. But I actually published this book. I was planning to release it at the Author Expo in November, but so it was published in, I want to say it was like, I might have submitted it like to late October, but it was published in like October, November of last year. Yeah,
Okay.
so it hasn't been
Okay.
long.
Okay.
Hmm.
And so are you working on something else?
Yes, working on quite a few, getting them
Okay.
together.
Okay.
I'm actually doing a revised edition of the memoir because I wrote it, I was barely out of it, the situation. And when I actually started writing it, and then when I immediately just started writing chapter after chapter. But now I'm looking back over with, fresh eyes, with healed heart and mind. I've learned more in my writing, so I'm going back through it to polish it up, things that I may have left out that should be in the story. I'm going back through and revising it to make it a more, I won't say powerful, but to make it better for the reader, for the person who needs that story, to help them, say, okay, yeah, I need to leave this situation. I need to get out of here, So that's why I'm rewriting it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Great.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yes.
And so,
Thank you.
do you have any events coming up down the line? I know you
Um,
said you went to a book fair last year. Anything going on or
well,
this?
this year, like I said, we're having the Author Expo in November here in Aiken, South Carolina on Saturday, November the 14th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. I have space inside of a local store here. It's called Vendor Street Store. We're having a Christmas in July sale on the 26th of July. We have things going on. I'm going to be just doing different things throughout the rest of the year. I'm having an award show coming up. I'm a nominee for best poetry for this book here in
Awesome.
particular. I have it
Okay.
with me. Yeah, so I'm being nominated for that. That awards is in December. And then of course I'm going to the Speak Up Sister Gala. It's in September 13th. So just to participate and network and speak with other like-minded individuals. That's really what I'm doing right now. And I have series that I do on my YouTube channel, different things like that to help our community. So that's mainly what I'm focusing on right now.
Okay. Awesome.
Hmm.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
That is great. And so finish this sentence. My story deserves to be told because.
My story deserves to be told because it's valuable, it's relevant, it's truthful. It's my story, and we all have a story. So it doesn't have to be hidden. And God gave it to me. He brought me through it. So that's my testimony. So it deserves to be shared.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
so tell us, where can listeners find you? Your website, your social media?
Okay, pretty much everywhere, but I am Deborah Jefferson on, yes, too many places sometimes. Deborah Jefferson on Facebook and Instagram, Deborah Jefferson 76. I'm on Hairbed's Thoughts also on Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, Hairbed's Thoughts, and of course, Instagram. Yeah, and my website is hairbedthoughts.com, and that's HAROBEDSTHOUGHTS.com, hairbedthoughts.com. And hairbed is my name spelled backwards with the S on the end.
Uh,
Yes, yes. And being as my name spelled backwards, the main gist of it is the thoughts that we hide, the ones that we don't want to share, we're ashamed or embarrassed of, bring them out. So so that's a little play on words that how
yeah.
I'm bringing about. So yes.
That's great. That is
Yes.
great. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I'm excited for you. Sounds like you got a lot of things lined up, and that's good because you're getting the
Hmm.
visibility out there
Yes,
for your
ma'am.
business.
Yes, ma'am.
It
Hmm.
does take work to promote, to market. So with this book or even your other books, did you self-publish or are you going through a traditional publish?
I've always self-published from the beginning. It was like, okay, I don't have no money to pay nobody to pay. I was just coming out of divorce, or just leading up to the divorce. And I had my feelings of that first book. I just rushed and wrote it. I'm like, okay, I got to figure out how. So I just went to Google, and because I didn't know a lot of the author friends in our circle, and I didn't know everybody back then. So I just went to Google and found Amazon, KDP, and I went from there and published my first book. So I like having the control over my work. Of course, there's different editing software, different things out there to help you. But yeah, I like having that the control over my work and to release it and put it out to the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I can
Hmm.
understand that. I know when I published my first book in 2000, I can't even say it, 2024.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
and you're right. It was new for me
Hmm.
because I thought I could just publish it, get it out,
Right.
write the book and get it out there. But
Man,
no,
everybody's gonna buy it, right?
yeah, of course.
Right.
I'm gonna be this bestseller off the bat.
Right. I'm gonna be rich.
Uh, Child, no, no. I'm still
Yeah.
promoting. I'm still marketing.
Right.
It's just never ending.
Right.
It is what it is, which is
Mm.
good because I don't want to have to pay for stuff I already had done.
Right.
And so, but I still had to market and promote. Although
Hmm.
I had them, my work didn't stop. I realized, I
Right.
can't just sit back because
Mhm.
I still got to promote myself. So that
Exactly.
was a
Yes.
big learning.
Yes.
Yeah, that was huge.
Right. Like if you don't open your mouth and tell people about your book, they're not gonna know.
Right.
And you can't just do Facebook or whatever. That's not gonna do enough either. Or not
No,
or not one post every month or so.
no,
You
no.
can't do it like
Right.
it is.
The word.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so I thank you for coming on the
You're
podcast
welcome.
on this evening. And to those that are listening, please like, share, follow, and comment on this podcast. And if
Yeah.
you're an author who would like to share your story, your book, have a conversation about your writing journey, please feel free to reach out to me on Facebook at Danny Nicole, or my podcast is on Facebook, the Book Talk Author Visibility Podcast. And again, Deborah, I appreciate you for coming on, sharing. I'm excited for you
Thank you.
following that scripture. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me, right? Anything
Amen.
is
Yes,
possible
that's right.
with God. And as women of faith, we believe that.
Yes.
Like
Amen.
God's got our back.
Wholeheartedly.
Yes, yes. God's got us.
That's right. God said it all the time. God got me. I'm
That's
good. I'm
right.
all
Just
right.
don't
Right. He
God's
got
got
you.
you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, and you have a great night.
You too. Thank you so much for having me.